Now that we have our code in Dreamweaver, we can do things like, let's go ahead and collapse this search window so I can just see more of the HTML page. And let's go ahead and take a look at our code and just see what we have here. Now, first off, we have, of course, a strict HTML document. You can see that we have that doc type at the top. And then we have the HTML, and it's telling us what version, the 1999 XHTML. Then we have our character set, which we are stating here. It does say untitled document, so that's a really bad idea. At least it should say something like sample CSS formatting or something, or styling rather. Now the next thing we have is we have a div called page container, and that's actually going to contain everything. If you look at the top here, then look at the bottom, you'll see that we're ending that division at the bottom of the page. Then we have our header, and our header section is going to actually extend from here all the way down to there. So that's our header currently. Then we have our inside our header, we have our site info from here, and that has an H1 and an H2. And we have our div for our nav container, and that encompasses that area right there. And our navigation list, of course, is in there as well. Then we have our content, and our content has an H1, a paragraph, and some other things in there as well. Secondary well, there's an H2, so it's a secondary heading. Another paragraph, unordered list. And then eventually we finish that content section, and we have our footer section here. Then we have, of course, our page ending at the end. So that's just a basic structure that we have right now. It's not, the most perfect structure, but hey, it works for what we're doing. So the very first thing that I want to do is just look at encompassing everything with some basic tags. Some basic tags that are HTML tags that will affect everything. So I'm going to go to the styles, and I'm going to create a new style. Now, one thing that's important is that we realize what type of style we're going to be using. We're going to be doing a tag, which are HTML tags that we want to define. And we're going to put it for right now into this document only, and we'll later export our CSS into an external style sheet. So the very first tag that we want to use is, of course, the body tag, and that's because it encompasses everything. So we'll click OK, and this gets to our CSS rule definition box, which allows us to go to type, background, block, box, border, list, position, and extensions. So in each box, this is what we have. In the type box, we have the ability to change things like our font family, the size, the weight, whether it's bold or normal, whether or not we're going to use capitalize or lowercase. And we also have the ability to change our colors maybe, so that we'll use dark gray. We probably don't want bold for everything, but we definitely want to use, let's say, trebuchet everywhere. In our background, we can change our background color, our background image, as well as how that image is going to be repeated or attached, or position of that image. And we'll get into those later, exactly how to move the background image. The background color, of course, allows us to quickly grab any color that we want. I'm going to use a very desaturated blue right now and apply that as the background. If you click on apply, by the way, it will apply it for right now. Our block allows us to do things like word spacing, letter spacing, vertical alignment, text align, center, left, right. These are other text things. Our box allows us to change the width of our box. We'll do that soon. And floating, as well as clear, and we'll get to that. Padding, margins. Border allows us to add borders to it for our style and width and color of our borders. The list allows us to change the type of list that we have, such as whether or not we're going to use no list or disks or circles. Positioning we'll be working with later for the placement of our divisions, and I've never really used extensions, so I don't really know what's there. And in the next tutorial, we'll actually go through and start applying things. So click OK. If you go to the code, you'll see that your CSS style is now at the top, and you'll see it there in your CSS panel. So that's a good start. Let's go on.